Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're still playing video games and we're still most definitely talking video games, but we're doing it in a live commentary, first impressions, let's play format, because we're going to be spending some time with Moonlighter today. I've poured about half an hour, 45 minutes into the game so far, and I wanted to just jump in with you guys and just play some Moonlighter. This is a game that I've really been looking forward to for a plethora of reasons, including its art style, including its downtime experience, but I think most importantly because it feels like a little indie gem, a game that's taking some of the most standard old school formulas that we got in games like Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda on NES, one of my first RPGs I ever played as a kid, as a gamer, and then sort of injecting modern concepts on top of them. A sort of Stardew Valley meets the Legend of Zelda, if you will, and it has already become a very charming experience in the 45 minutes I've spent with it. So why don't we go ahead and indulge in one of the downtime activities. The whole idea of Moonlighter, the story behind this game, is that you are a shopkeeper. You're the son of shop owners, and you are now one of the last remaining shops in the town that you live in, a town that once thrived off of these magical dungeons that appeared many centuries ago. So your job is to keep Moonlighter alive while also moonlighting. That's where that play on words comes into play here. As an adventurer, as an explorer, and hopefully eventually as a hero who heads out into these dungeons to get resources and artifacts to sell to keep your shop alive, but also to help bring the entire town back to life. So this is a inventory management game, a marketing game, an action adventure game. It's a lot of things bundled into one little ball of joy, and it is also exceptionally beautiful. So I just came back from an adventure. We'll head out on one of our own in a little bit, but we need to sell some stuff here. So this is my current shop. It's not too big. We've got 4 slots we can sell items on, and I've got some resources that I got from the dungeon crawl that I just went on last night. Now, I've already sold some of these items. I've sold broken swords before, and so the cool thing about that is I can go into my book here. I can look at my notebook. I can tab over to the Golem dungeons, which is where I got my broken swords from, and I can see that I sold a broken sword at 30 gold. Unfortunately, that 30 gold was not a really substantial profit margin for me. The people loved that because they knew they were getting a steal, but I was also actually being stolen. I could have made more money. So I'm thinking we're going to take our broken sword there, and we're going to crank it up to 60. We're going to double the price and see if we can't get that sweet spot there where the customer is happy, but we're also turning a substantial profit. The same thing happened with the ancient pots. I sold those at 75. I could have sold them a little bit more, but we also have some sweet spots for other things. Iron bars, for example, are just perfect at 20. So let's go ahead and change the price on our broken sword here. We're going to go ahead and make that 60 this time, and see if we can't get a sweet spot of that. We're going to go ahead and throw up an iron bar here, and we're going to leave that at 20 because we know that was good. We've also got 2 new items, though. We've got these white stones and these gold runes, which, as far as we know, are a little bit more valuable in terms of their resources. So I'm going to start off with a pretty high price point on that white stone. We're going to go ahead and crank that up to 200 and see what happens with that. And we're also going to do the same with the gold runes. I'm thinking we'll even maybe try 250 on those gold runes, because they seem to be a little bit more rare than the golem cores that I actually sold for around 150. So we'll see where that goes. So there we go. That's our shop table. We'll set up with items. We're going to go ahead and open up the store and let the adventurers pour on it. It is January 4th. This is Dave here. He's one of my longtime bearded friends. Great customer, Dave. He likes to come inside, just chit-chat a little bit too much sometimes. He doesn't always buy things, but when he does, he spends a pretty penny, so we like Dave. Apparently 60 is still a really great deal for a broken sword. So we could even go up higher from 60, but let's just go ahead and give that woman the deal of a lifetime there. Dave actually found that those white stones were priced just right, so we made a really good guess on that. The old man also found that the price on the runes was equally as compelling, so good deal on that as well. And we just sold every single one of our shop items. I think we made a pretty good profit there. Now we can keep adding items to the table. We can sell the rest of these if we wanted to, for example. The question I have here, though, is can we change the quantity of the items? It doesn't seem like we can right now. So I'm curious as to how... Maybe we have to grab a stack. Let's see. Let's put this back. If we hold, we can grab the stack. Can we sell 10 of them? Okay, there we go. So that multiplies it. So we could sell an entire stack if we wanted to. I wonder if people will just keep buying from that stack. I'm kind of learning here as we're going. So let's see. We'll go ahead and put the stones down. Which the nice thing is it puts whatever items you add at the last price you sold them at. So if you were successful with an item, it'll put it at that last price. So let's go put those two on the table there. Let's also go ahead and just grab a whole nother stack here of iron bars. How many can we add to a stack? Can we put 10 in each stack? So let's put another 10 on the table. And then we've got this teeth stone. I haven't sold any of these, so let's put one down and maybe throw that up at 200 and see what happens. Let's do 150. I feel like 200 is probably a bit too steep. Let's see what the people think of those prices on that. Is that a hero? I think we got a hero. Look at we do. I'm going to go ahead and call her... Let's call her Michelle. Michelle would be happy if I called her Michelle. She's got a sword and everything, man. Look at that. She's got like a gold breastplate on. She's looking like a badass over there. I wonder what sort of wares she might be interested in. Did she buy the whole stack of 10? She did. Oh, wow, man. So as long as the price is right, even though it's a multitude of items, it seems like the stuff will still sell. Unfortunately, our tooth stone there doesn't appear to be that appealing to good old Dave. We'll have to bring that price down a little bit. The old woman, what is she making? I think she's building an entire house out of iron bars. Or she's secretly a world-renowned blacksmith crafting the greatest swords the world has ever seen. I don't know what she's doing with all those iron bars, but I don't think we're going to sell these, unfortunately. So we're going to go ahead and change the price on those real quick. Let's drop it down to just 100. I feel like 150 was probably way too high to begin with. But you never know. We got to figure out these items as we go. Let's see if anybody comes on back. I think once we sell the teeth stone there, we'll go ahead and close up shop. No, it's still too much. Apparently that stone's not worth a damn thing. Let's do 75, I guess. I like how I can change this stuff on the fly. It would be cool if we could go right up to the individual and maybe like bargain with them. We got another hero in here. Oh, look at the Peldrins. Apparently, it's not even worth 75. I think, unfortunately, we're going to go ahead and just call it quits here and close up the shop for the day. We'll have to reconsider the price point on our teeth stone, unless this woman decides to buy it at a loss. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like individual people are willing to pay any more for items. Pretty much everyone thinks about items the same way. Everybody kind of just looks and says, okay, that's too much or that's too little. So you don't have to worry about individuals having like their own personalities. That would probably make things a little bit too deep. This is one of the other interesting mechanics in this game. So you are very much focusing here on supply and demand. So in this case, with those iron bars, they sold so well for that old lady who's building her swords in her basement that we're actually dropping the popularity on them. The demand on them is going down. So we got to be careful. Iron bars are obviously a quick money maker, but we don't want to just sell them like crazy. The good news, though, is that we've actually created a bit of demand for the runes, for the stone, and for that tooth stone, even though we didn't actually sell that. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just change the price on this right now. Teeth stone, sorry. That's one of those words. Can you say teeth stone 10 times fast? I don't think I could. Let's go ahead and put that at 50. And then we'll go ahead and pop the other one on there because I'm feeling confident in that price point. And we also have this empowering crystal, which I'm not entirely sure what that even does, but it would be good to probably get some of this stuff out of our inventory, or at least let's go ahead and manage it a little bit better here. I think we can actually stack this stuff, so let's do that. We can also just put it in the merchant's mirror. So I'm thinking with the vines, we'll probably do that with most of the vines here. I don't think we can do it when we're actually at our shop, though, so we're gonna have to deal with it as is. Let's go ahead and we'll stack these on there. Grab the whole stack. We'll see what the vines sell for. I haven't actually sold vines. I haven't sold any of these either, to be honest. So let's make a stack of 10 there. Grab that. And then the next day when we come back, we can kind of just sell this stuff off first and get rid of it, and then see what happens from there. Just trying to organize my inventory at this point. The interesting thing about your inventory is when you actually get into the dungeons here, you'll find that it is actually important how you manage your inventory. Certain items can only go in certain places within your backpack for the sake of weight distribution, which is a pretty cool mechanic. So that's something to keep an eye out on. I'm going to put these way up there because I have no idea what they are, and I'm curious as to how much they're going to run. So we're going to just shoot for 500 to start. And that's it, though. We can go head on out now on an adventure of our own. So let's exit the shop. Before we do that, let's actually quickly stop at the board here. This is one of the cool sort of growth elements of the game, sort of the building elements or the marketing elements of the game, is that you actually have control over the town. So we can actually pay money to bring these people into the town to create a forge. In this case, we've got the wooden hat, La Retailer, and then we can also upgrade our shop by expanding the shop level, creating multiple floors. We can have a sales box here, for example. Some of this stuff gets really pricey, but this is where I'm like, man, this is that good part of a game when you start to sink your teeth into it and you realize there's so much more to chew on. That gets you really excited. I'm really excited about this game. I was super stoked on Moonlighter, but now, like, it's more than I ever expected it to be. It is a game that has made me genuinely happy. This game has been putting a huge smile on my face. I really do recommend you check it out. It is available on console, PlayStation 4 and Xbox, as well as PC for 20 bucks. So a pretty damn good deal. So here are some of the dungeons. This is the Golem dungeon, which is currently available to merchants and heroes. You'll see that some of these dungeons are locked. Some are only available to heroes. So you gotta pick and choose the ones that you can actually go inside. Now the entire gameplay loop here is revolved around some manually activated systems. So we can go as deep as we want into these randomly generated dungeons, and then we can leave with our pendant whenever we feel like we've acquired enough equipment or enough artifacts to sell at our shop. The same can be said for the healing mechanic in the game. So when you have a healing potion, you can actually choose how much health you regenerate, which is a pretty nice mechanic. Combat in the game so far has been pretty good. It's not great, I'm gonna be honest. It's taken me some getting used to it, and maybe it's like the more I play it, the more I'll appreciate it. But it's kind of stiff. You can only attack in your four sort of cardinal directions. There's no diagonal attacking. I'm getting my ass kicked here, by the way. Oh no, and we died. Well, that was a bit of a fail. I really probably shouldn't have died. It's like a really easy combat situation, but that was that. You'll see that we lose everything that's in our backpack, but we don't lose the items that were actually on our persons. So we can keep the stuff that was in our pockets effectively. That was a less than successful run, but that's all right. We're gonna go ahead and respawn here and get back into the dungeon. I didn't expect that to happen, and you'll see that the layout has already changed. It didn't help that I switched off of my my sword and shield on accident when I was trying to use my health potion. Which, by the way, I'm trying to figure out or remember how to use my healing potion, so that's kind of on me here. I know I can use it for my inventory, but I could have swore I could manually trigger it while I was in combat. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, this looks like an interesting... Oh, okay, we're in a forest now, and these are completely new enemy types that are totally kicking my ass. Oh, wow. Okay. The game has like a really interesting set of like separate learning curves, or I should say separate difficulty curves, and that it's like you'll go into the dungeon, you'll go one way and it's like not that difficult, and then you'll go somewhere like we just did there and you'll get your ass absolutely handed to you. So it can be easy and it can be hard, and that's kind of, I guess, the combat system. I feel like is going to take some getting used to. It's the one area of the game where I'm not like head over heels for it right away. You do have your dodge roll, you have your block, but that ability to like free-form rotate your shield and stuff like that means that blocking has to be very, very precise from the moment you activate it. You got to kind of strafe walk to set yourself up, and make sure you use your dodge roll to get as much invulnerability as possible in situations where maybe you can't get your shield up in time, or maybe when you're trying to dodge roll through something like that, I could have just dodge rolled and avoid that attack entirely, but it's all good. We got some resources here. So these are the example of items that need to be placed in a specific point on the bag. So the water lamp we have to put on the bottom of the top. So we'll put it on the bottom there. And I imagine we're going to have much of the same with these foundry rests. Top or bottom of the bag. The curious thing is, can we put it... Okay, we can put it there as long as it's not in the corners. We're good. Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. So there's an element of like, what should I take and what should I leave behind that's pretty consistent with looting in this game, which is pretty cool. This right here, though, is also one of my favorite parts of the game, is as you're exploring these randomly generated dungeons, you're finding lots of mystery, clue. There's items to read, new items that I've already unlocked in the game. You know, the dungeons themselves, even though they are randomly generated and their primary focus is to give you artifacts, there's actually a lot of storytelling built into them, which I think is really snazzy. Today marks my first steps into these mysterious dungeons. They were discovered not far from Rhinoka, a small and incredibly charming village just north of the crater. And they are quite a unique occurrence. Any number of adventurers may enter a dungeon at once, but no one will adventure together. These dungeons seem to build themselves around the one entering, a unique maze for each person, never the same labyrinth twice. One must ask, though, if no one is currently inside the dungeon, does it even exist? Now these are the questions. Many right now are flooding to these dungeons for their treasure, completely disregarding the inherent danger of the hostile creatures inside, just for some gold, just for some fame. But not I, no. It's all about the questions for me. Where do these dungeons come from? Why do they constantly shift and change? And why are they filled with unseen treasures? I'm not here for the what. I'm here for the how and why. So little journals of adventurers who have passed before you, perhaps dead, or maybe, you know, just moved on to somewhere else. I dig it, man. I dig this game a lot. You should totally check it out if you're into this sort of thing. If you grew up with like Legend of Zelda and Metroid and stuff like that, I think there's a lot to love here. Let's go to the right and see what we can find. We got a scroll. Why? Why do our tools keep disappearing? Chambers full of precious stone are left untouched. So this is the second time I've actually found this. So this has to be connected to this pool, which is a healing pool, by the way, as I just now realized. So maybe it has nothing to do with that. I'm curious as to what that note is, though, and what it has to do with anything. Yeah, blocking is difficult because you gotta get that directional block just right. It seems like the creatures might be able to attack you from diagonals almost, but you can't block from a diagonal, which is kind of strange. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but it feels that way. We'll have to see. In combat, I feel like it's gonna take a little bit to grow on me here. No, we got jellied. Don't you jelly me. One of the things I really like about the sort of abysses everywhere. We're gonna die, by the way, guys. Wow, man, you really get your ass kicked in this game. We should have just left with what we had, because I think our most important goal right now should actually be able to get the blacksmith up and to start building ourselves better equipment. That's probably one of the biggest issues right now, is we're not considering the progression loop in the game, and that is something we should be paying attention to. So let's go in one more time. We'll see if we can get some basic resources from some initial golems and monsters here, and then we'll probably go ahead and make use of our pendant to go ahead and bail out. You probably could stay in longer if you were better at the combat than I am, but it's like, I don't know, it's just, it doesn't feel natural to me yet. I'm still struggling with it pretty deeply. Not quite a mechanic that I've mastered or feel comfortable with even. But, oh, no, okay, we got it. So items over those abysses will actually fall into said abyss if you let them. So you gotta really run over there and grab them before they start to fall. A couple more broken swords, which I didn't realize were considered like a placement item. It seems like items that you have to place in a specific point in your bag are sometimes worth more than other items, but not necessarily so. So there's not a perfect correlation there. Let's go ahead and go back this way. I don't want to go up into that forest realm. That place kicked my ass, man. Some more iron bars. That's honestly, that's one of the interesting things about this game then, right? Is you might find an item that's like easy money, or that's, you know, pretty valuable, but if you oversell it, then suddenly you're forced to search for diversity in your shop, you know, because you need to change up the supply and demand effectively. It's cool because it's a game that sort of drives its experience because of its shopkeeping. It adds an additional gameplay element by forcing the player to consider just what they go and search for during the combat phases of the game based on what they're selling in their shop, and vice versa. There's not many games really doing something like that, you know? It's pretty unique, pretty cool. I like that. Let's see what we got in our bag. We got enough stuff where I'm okay with going back. Let's go back to the shop now. I would really like to purchase that blacksmith and see kind of how the town expands, because that'll be the first time I've ever purchased an upgrade to the town itself. So why don't we actually do that before we go back to the shop and sell some items? Vulcan's Forge. Do you feel the dungeons are too hard? Tired of your old weapon? I can solve that if you bring me enough money and materials. So this will also give us basically an alternate way to spend our resources outside of selling them in our own shop, which is of course extremely useful. There he is. Look at the blacksmith walking into town, ready to open up his shop and make some armor and swords for your fellow adventurers. That was quick. This game's so charming. It's like unbelievable how charming it actually is. Alright, Andre. Aye, you must be Will, no? The one who requested my forge? My name is Andre, Forge Master Extraordinaire. If it's weapons or armor you seek, Vulcan's Forge is the place. Oh, look at that. We can actually get a fabric bandana and iron helmet, and you can see the resources we need, which we don't have enough of, unfortunately, but nonetheless, that is still freaking cool. Sword and shield, rusty short sword, soldier's short sword. I can't talk today, guys, and I do apologize. We got great swords too. What? So now we've got a third layer to the game, which is farming resources for our own benefit. Bows. This is really cool, guys. I'm like super stoked on this. Look at all these different chest plates and boots. I wish the armor was a little bit more well organized. So I kind of have to scroll through everything just to get to your boots, but nonetheless, this is really cool. You can wishlist stuff as well. That's pretty neat. Big swords, big sword. So I imagine if you wishlist it, it's going to inform you of the items you need, which is pretty useful. And there's also a cost to building the recipes themselves. It looks like armor's 4,000 for some of these swords. 1,000, another 4,000 for the spears. Yeah, so stuff isn't cheap, man. You gotta seriously get your cash up. Oh, you can also get the training equivalent of everything though as well. Training spear, training gloves. So that's probably what we're gonna want to shoot for first, is the training version of each of those items. I think though those gloves are actually like melee combat weapons, so we want to focus more on armor to start. All right. I like this. Let's see if we can't expand our shop a little bit. I wonder how much the cost of everything there was. 8,000 to add another shop level. 2,000 for the cheap sale box. Yeah, we need to really get farming here a little bit. Shop level 4 is 250,000. This is like Tom Nook levels of investment we're gonna have to make here. But I'm digging it. I really am. We could also get the wooden hat in here. This is potions and enchantments. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's spend the money, get the wooden hat in here as well. I like the idea of these shops being in here. Expand our world a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and sell some more items in our shop. Actually, I think at that point I've kind of showed you guys most of the core elements of the game. There's obviously a lot we haven't unlocked in terms of equipment, in terms of the loot, but this is the general idea of the game. The general loop, if you will, is to go into the dungeons, face enemies, make yourself more powerful so you can face harder enemies, get better artifacts, make more money, upgrade the shop, but then also constantly have to deal with supply and demand and ensuring that you're getting the best price for everything when you sell it to individuals, but also making sure that you're not drying out the market with any one item and losing its value. Weaver and Potion Master. Come to the wooden hat when you need a potion or an enchantment. So we can craft potions. Again, this all costs money. Oh, these are different versions. Restores 500 health, restores 40 health. We should probably keep a couple of these on hand. Let's go ahead and brew that up. I love the little animations for everything. They do a good job of putting a lot of detail on screen, even though it's not like a fully 3D animated screen we got going on here. And we can also get enchanted armor. Okay, that's cool. So she can enchant our armor and boost its capabilities. All right, let's go back to the shop. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My first look at Moonlighter. This game was charming within the first 30 minutes, and it's just gotten more charming as time has gone on. I really do love its art style. It's got some phenomenal music, great animations. It's just a really beautiful game to look at. It's the type of game where you'll want to spend time in its world, you know? I think for a lot of us, like looking back at games like Zelda specifically, for me, there's a lot of nostalgia there, right? But rarely can you go back and play that game and have those exact same vibes in terms of atmosphere that you had when you were a kid when you first played it. for me, Moonlighter's kind of already touched on a lot of that in its first couple hours, where I do get a lot of those same emotions I got when I was playing Zelda as a kid, playing Earthbound as a kid, you know. This really strikes on those while also giving us a lot of new ways to experience this type of game. And for that reason, Moonlighter I think is definitely worth checking out. 20 bucks on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation 4. You know, give it a gander at the very least. Maybe watch some additional Let's Plays. Maybe catch some people streaming it. I think I'm actually going to be giving this game a chance over on stream, see what people think of it, because I know I'm going to be having a lot of fun with it. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this very untraditional long play here on the channel, and I will see you in the next one.
You have been brought here for a purpose. The most important task of your